Namaste. Good morning.
Morning. So I was just asking, for what it's worth, before enlightenment in your journey, did you ever, you were searching for enlightenment, did you ever imagine that it would actually take place this lifetime, that yes, enlightenment's going to come, or it was like, no?
I had no idea if it would or not. Like I said, the journey was very, very intense here. And there was a lot of turmoil up until the moment that everything fell away and deconstructed. Of course, there was always the hope, and again, the fallacy and notion that there's somebody that's going to become enlightened.
I thought that's worthwhile because it's probably common for people to feel that it's some kind of imaginary thing that could never take place in my life,
Yeah, well, one never knows.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee ever that one is going to enter realization or not. And if you're in the journey and it's just been really, really difficult and very, very intense, and you have a lot of fantasy notions about what it's going to be, and fantasy notions and wondering and just no idea about what is God, what is what is the journey, what is realization. And when everything deconstructs and falls away and one finds that there's only that, and then there's an immediate, in a second, everything has changed. All of your ideas about realization and God and everything is forever, changed in a moment.
Was it the other question I asked before is, was there a spontaneous, immediate laughter right when the realization took place?
Well, there is like a laughter, it's kind of like I said, and I've said many times, it's like the great cosmic joke. Because you realize, at once what the Bible says is true. No matter where you go, in the deepest hell or the highest heavens, there I am. There is no place that God is not. Even though you weren't seeing it, you weren't, you thought that God was something far away and external that you were trying to reach, trying to get in touch with, praying to, begging, all of this stuff that one does along the way. And then when everything falls away and everything dissolves into that which is always present, one without a second, then there's, of course, like laughter. There's laughter. And it's just, at that point, it's such a shock as well. That's the other thing that happens. It's just a real shock because one comes, from that, just in that, where there's no seeing of a world, no seeing with any of the human senses, there's only that awareness of that consciousness of is. And then when the world comes back into views and the human senses begin to work and kick in again, and one is seeing a physical world with the eyes and everything, and there is a bit of a cognition of this plane of existence, then there's also the sudden thing that flashes through, just a split second, is the shock of all these lifetimes have been spent in a search, and now it's over. Now what? Because that's been the whole focus of existence for lifetimes. One knows inherently that was for lifetimes that there was a search being made. And now the search is over. And now there's no one remains. Now what? It's not like, what am I going to do? There's no I at that point. It's just this shock that it's ended, and you know that it's ended. That's it. Now what?
The other question I had asked was, I guess at that point where everything falls away, that begins another discomfort. I forgot how I asked it. Becomes another now it starts the journey of a new uncomfortable situation, and then there was a response to that.
Well, it's, I can't really say uncomfortable. It's just a shock. Because you think there's going to be a me, somebody that gets enlightened, and then you got all these fantasy notions about, you're going to be this great being, you're going to be this, you're going to have, city powers, you're going to, all of these notions, and none of that is the case at all. None of that is the case at all. Nobody comes back from that experience. If somebody comes back, then it's been a transient, just a glimmer of it. But when realization takes place, nobody comes back. The one that went into that is no more, and they never have been. So it's just, at that point, immediately coming in, and one has had a sense, before realization that the world is a dream state. Well, even that is bypassed at that point. The dream state of the world is no longer, doesn't feel like a dream state. One has known that it has been a great, in one sense, an illusion. And then again, it takes time for the world to come back into view and become the play of God. Then it moves into a different thing, and it goes into, again, a real. It's real, it's the other side of the coin. Okay, but all of these things are transitions that take place along the way in consciousness. That's all. That's all.
And again, a fair statement would be it's never what one thought it
Oh,
was.
no.
Never,
Oh, Lord,
right?
no. Never, 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 never what one thinks it's going to be. God is not what one thinks it's going to be. Realization is not what one thinks it's going to be. None of that. None of that. It's so simplistic yet so awe-inspiring.
Even with all the deep glimpses that people have, it's still never what they thought it.
No. Those glimpses, they're very big expansions and very heart-centered and very, loving and blissful.
And tastes of no me. And
Well, yeah, one can feel like I'm here and I'm not here, that witness state that happens. And then I'm connected to everything, therefore there's no me because there's just this connection and we're all one and that. But that's not it. That's not really what it is to have the no me. It's not a sense of being connected to everyone and everything. That's oneness, okay? That's oneness. And it's a wonderful place to be, in oneness where everything is connected and you see God in yourself and you see God in everyone else. But that's a different state of a samadhi type experience. There's something beyond that, absolutely. Yeah, so just to say in conclusion that, the journey is such an amazing thing. It's the longest journey of lifetimes, and yet one comes back to where they never really ever left, So only the one that has entered realization can say it's all illusion. It's all been illusion. The one that's in the mind of duality, for them it's quite real. And they're still navigating, and for them there is hierarchy, for them there is gods, for them there is realms, for them that all of that still remains. It's only for the one that has entered realization and remains in that consciousness that all of that has imploded. Okay? So again, there is a vast difference between reading Advaita and the Advaita texts and trying to understand it and apply it in an intellectual level to duality, which never really works. One tries to convince themselves of it and tries to make it like an affirmation, but that's not going to do it. And I think it's a great sadness to see people doing that, because if you're trying to convince yourself, I'm already that, there's nowhere to go and nothing to get, and you're still in suffering, and that mind is in suffering, and you're trying to convince yourself that you're not suffering, then there's nowhere to go. Then you will be locked in that suffering forever, and trying to convince yourself that you're not. So this is why we say, the first thing one has to get is honest with where they're at. First step is honesty. And yes, eventually all of that blows out. All of that blows out.
You offer techniques, and then there's Darshan as a means to move forward. How would you rate, or could you rate, which one is more significant? Or
no, they're equally important, like two wings of a bird. You can't just do Darshan without the rest of it, and the practices have to be brought into daily life. It has to be your life. It's not separate from life. The practices are a genuine part of life, and they help you navigate life and help you also to start deconstructing barriers, so that what is always present in the heart of being becomes revealed. And that's all. That's all. But I think you can attest to to what Darshan can do.
yes.
So on that note, I'm going to give the seat to Hridaya for a second and let him just give a couple of moments about what it's like to have the Darshan.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Been on the path for 5 years or so, it's kicking in very strong now. Just even walking up to the door of Guruji's house before coming in, the legs are ready to give way, and then it's just constantly, steadily transforming. The Darshan is you see, I can't speak.
So just to clear up some projections that people have, we're all drug addicts, we're all abusing drugs. Are you taking any psychedelics? Are you taking drugs? Are you smoking cannabis? Are you smoking hashish?
No, yet it's just a loss for words to describe what the effects of the Darshan are. It's just some direct experience that takes place, and one senses very deeply that it's a signpost to continue on, taking the Darshan, continue with the practices, that it's all headed in the direction that Guruji says, enlightenment. Namaste. Musical chairs.
So, namaste. No, people are not worked with on this path if they're engaging in drugs. Absolutely not. So please, people that come and want to post those kind of nonsense about we're all drug addicts and we're all, no. What you're seeing is the effects of absolute Shakti as it's working with consciousness and as it's working to start pulling all of those occluding things away. So namaste, thank you, welcome, and enjoy your day.